Elementary Leaders and Helpers for SunSparks Labs VBS. This is day 2 science experiment, and this experiment we are focusing on cause and effect. So our experiment name is called the Milk Rainbow, and our overall concept is cause and effect. And what I mean by that is we are trying to help the children understand that whatever we do, that's the cause, has a direct result, which is the effect. And so how it applies to our Christian walk is that whenever we sin, the effect is a separation from God. So we're going to have an experiment that will sort of reiterate that concept. And then, of course, that's reiterating the lesson that they're learning today. So what you're going to have in each classroom is, I'm hoping this works, you're going to have a shallow, clear pan. And you will fill the clear pan with just a little bit of milk. I don't know if you can see it very well, but that's about 1/4 of an inch of milk. So you kind of just want to cover the bottom. What we're doing is we're using milk food coloring and Dawn dish soap to kind of create this really cool swirl effect, but it doesn't work as well if it's really thick milk. So you fill the tins with milk, and then you put a couple of drops of food coloring. You can see I kind of put 1 drop of green, and I put like 3 of red and 3 of blue, and so they do spread. So I mean, this is okay. You can put a little less though if you want to. So you'll have 4 of these per classroom. So again, just like experiment on day 1, you'll have groups of children around them. With this experiment, because it's a little bit messy, you definitely want to try and have a helper with each of your groups. Each kid will sit around one of these, and then each child will have a stir stick, which is a Q-tip. So what we'll do is we will take our Q-tips. What else you'll have in your classroom is some Dawn dish soap and some oil. Okay, so the oil will be for the very end. So the Dawn dish soap is sort of the catalyst for this whole thing. You're going to have your kids take a good ooey gooey dip in the Dawn dish soap. They don't want it to be like dripping dish soap, but, you know, pretty well covered. And watch what happens when they put it into pretty cool, right? So just this concept of cause and effect, and they can just kind of mess around with it. And, you know, you might want to encourage them to, you know, do it maybe one at a time, right? So it creates this really cool sort of ripple rainbow effect. So let them play around with that for a little bit. I think it's kind of fun. This is actually my favorite experiment. And so as you're going through this, you're going to talk to them about separation. Of course, that's the whole point, right? The point of these experiments, again, is that we want them to be doing something that they can really get themselves into and help really retain the messages that they're learning each day. And so again, today's message is that sin causes a separation from God. So the end of your experiment is going to be sort of the God reveal part. So you're going to have some oil, and you're going to give each kid some of the oil, and you're going to have maybe one of your helpers pour a little bit of oil in. And the concept is that they're going to try and use the other side of their Q-tip, and they're going to do their best to stir that oil in. And they're going to notice that that oil separates. That oil never gets incorporated into the liquid. And so what you can tell them is this is a lot like our lesson today, that God is like this oil. We learned that God is perfect and he is completely without sin. And we, before we know Jesus, are like this murky water, this murky milk. We are completely separated from him, right? And so anyways, that's just one of the things. You might want to put, you know, a little bit more oil in there because it's harder to see it in these clear plastic bins, but you know, they'll see that this oil doesn't mix. And that's because God is separate from our sin, because God is perfect. So that is your experiment. Let them play, let them have fun. And then once you're done with the experiment, then, you know, clean up and then lead them in through some of the questions. The questions will transition straight out of this because this helps them sort of conceptualize that idea that we are separated from God when we sin, and that we need Jesus as the solution to help us bridge that gap, to clean us from our dirty sin. So anyways, that's our day 2 lesson, our day 2 experiment, and I'll see you again for day 3.